geez. Kind of kicked me. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're gonna be going over a Dodge Dart in the GT package. And by the way, this one is a 2016. You guys can kind of tell the window because it says 16. But regardless, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah for providing us with the Dart. Let's just get right into the video. Under the hood of the Dart, we have a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 184 horsepower and then 174 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 23 around town and then 33 on the highway, and a 0 to 60 time of right around 8 seconds. Let's go over the front end on the Dodge Dart GT. So one of the easiest ways to tell this is a GT is the fact that you've got the hood scoop there and there, but yes, they're fake. So it's fake venting, but at least it looks cool. Everything will also be blacked out with the GT. So you guys will notice the headlights are blacked out. The whole front fascia is all blacked out as well. You still get the projector bulbs. And yeah, that's just everything for the front end. Coming around the side here, we've got two 25mm tires in the front and in the rear. And then in terms of the size on the wheels, they are 18s, and you guys can kind of see the rotor is pretty big. I mean, it almost fills up the entire wheel itself. I love how they've done, again, the blacked out wheels that come with the GT. You guys will notice everything else is all blacked out. So the mirrors, the caps, they're blacked out, everything. So yeah, and then there's your side angle. Here's our key fob for the GT. So you've got a couple functions. You've got the unlock, the lock, and then the release for the trunk. And then you do get the Dodge logo there on the back. And we'll press that twice to release the trunk, and pops open partially. You do have to do the rest of the work yourself. Lifting the trunk open though, you guys will notice that storage space back here is pretty good. Looks like they've got the floor mats hidden back here. But if we pull up the little strip right there, you guys will notice that you could put a spare tire in there, but it doesn't necessarily come with one. And then other than that, that's the whole trunk area. So yeah. Now here at the back, the Dart actually has a light bar similar to the Charger, so it's kind of like a mini Charger with the back. And yes, you have the GT and you have the Dart badging. I actually like the exhaust tips there at the bottom. They definitely have a really cool, unique look to them in general. But like, if you're at night, sometimes it's hard to distinguish this from a Charger just because of the light bar, which again, I think it's a cool little look. Coming here to the side, you guys will notice that everything on the door panel is, again, blacked out. You got that blacked out theme that comes with the GT. You actually do get leather padding here. The GT does come with these pretty interesting seats. So it's this cloth, but you've got like the red behind on the seats. Now, in terms of how they feel, they're pretty soft to the touch. But again, they've got this really cool little look to them. And then I will pop in. So step in height, you do have to duck a little bit. If you're wondering, I'm 5'11". I've got the seat in the front where I'd have it, and legroom's pretty good. In terms of headroom, I mean, it's okay. I'm about to touch the top, but not quite. And the last thing to mention is you do get a couple of cup holders with that little opening right there, and that's all for that little center part. Coming here to the side, we do have keyless entry with the Dart. Now opening up, you guys will notice that you do have that red accenting again, continued into the front. So it's just right here on the door handle, and then you've got all of the leather, get your controls for the windows and the little door handle. There's the seat in the front. The bolsters on the seat itself are really nice. And then again, you've got that red accenting on the back part of the seat. They are power adjustable, if you guys are wondering. And then here's what the pedals look like. And then you got the little releases, and then light controls right here. And then you guys will see the steering wheel is going to be manually adjustable. There's the radio controls in the back of it, and there's one more look before we pop in. Well, let's get this bad boy started up because it is 100 degrees outside and I am ready for some air conditioning. You guys can see though, everything will come to life. Here's the steering wheel in the Dart. You guys will notice that you've got the cruise control over here on this side, and the other side you got the control for the center stack, your voice commands, phone controls, and then it's really smooth black leather, black contrasted stitching on the inside. Well, I shouldn't say contrasted, but black stitching on the inside. And then you got the stock for the turn signal, and then also for the windshield wipers, and that's all she wrote for the steering wheel. Now here in the center, you guys will notice the RPMs over on the left side, and then there in the center, there's a little screen that you can kind of scroll through a couple different menus. Pretty interesting what it looks like. That's actually what the average fuel economy has been. So you can see 27 miles per gallon. That's actually pretty decent. That's probably right around where it should be with the average. But yeah, you got all these different menus that you can scroll through, and it's pretty easy to use. We'll just have it be a giant speedo and say, Dart there at the top. Now coming here to the center, we'll go to the reverse camera, which notice that it's beeping at me because the door's open. But resolution on it is pretty decent. The lines do not turn with the steering wheel, so just take that into account. And then with the rest of the screen itself, just going over that, you guys will notice that you have no controls, which is weird. You can turn off the screen, but there's nothing else. No heated seats, no ventilated seats, but you do get a dual zone climate, which is kind of like a nice little luxury feature. You can connect your phone via Bluetooth, and that's all for the screen. Now down here you do have the controls for the radio. You could also do them on the touchscreen. You get your stability control and your hazard lights. Dual zone climate again, and you can control that via here. Now you do get a automatic transmission with this. Like I said, it's a 6-speed automatic. You can shift the gears yourself with the little shifter via that little functionality right there. And then you've got the 12 volt just down below. Couple more cup holders here. You get a traditional e-brake, and then you've got the leather with the red contrasted stitching. You guys can see that you got a decent amount of storage in there. You got another 12 volt and a USB inside of there, and you thread your cable through that little area. And then finally coming over to the glove box, you can see the glove box has a decent amount of storage space within it. Up top here, we've got the sunglass holder, universal garage door opener, and then they do a black headliner, which is good because the black headliner matches the rest of the interior, and that's all for the top. Now that we're done going over the interior on the Dart, let's quickly get into pricing. So the Dart's brand new, believe it or not. We're actually over $20,000, but they kind of like had a really big depreciation initially. They all kind of depreciated down to like that $10,000 to $15,000 price range, and it seems like they've stuck in that range pretty well. Like this one I think is right around the $12,000 range. Again, check out their website in the description below so you can see the exact up-to-date pricing on this particular vehicle. But it seems like depending on mileage and all that kind of stuff, they'll obviously will dip below $10,000 if it's kind of like an older car with more miles on it. But they've kind of stuck value-wise around this like 10 to maybe up to 15 for like a really expensive one. And that all being said, let's take her out and see how she drives. Quickly talk about visibility here in the Dart before we set off. So visibility over the hood, it's easy to see out of it, and you can't see into the cool hood scoops or anything, so sorry about that. And I did forget to mention the dash has really nice red stitching, soft touch, which is pretty nice. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors. And then here's your visibility all throughout the rear, and thank goodness this has window tint because it's really hot outside today. And that all being said, well, let's set off. We are setting off here in the Dodge Dart GT, and the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be the road noise and the ride quality. So first off, from the road noise perspective, you don't hear a whole lot that comes through, honestly. It's pretty well insulated. You hear a little bit from the tires, but it's pretty minimal. Now from the ride quality perspective, it does ride relatively rough. So compared to like the Charger, which I mentioned earlier in this video, definitely rides rougher than like a Charger or a Challenger. So definitely take that into account if you're kind of like comparing this to those cars, because you're like wanting to stay within the Dodge family. And we'll actually get to see the ride quality a little bit better over these little bumps and talk about the steering too. So yeah, I mean, it kind of goes over. You definitely can feel what's happening in the steering. You don't get a whole lot of feedback through the steering, and it's really light, so it definitely doesn't have that like sports car steering feel to it. If that makes sense to you guys. And we'll be able to test out the brakes here now. Yeah, so in terms of the feel on the brakes, it's kind of has like a little bit of a dead spot initially. Pretty like, you kind of have to push into them quite a bit, and then it'll kind of go with just how the brake pedal feel is. And we're gonna get our super minor acceleration right here. So when you're just accelerating normally, it's not too loud, and I mean, it gets up and goes at a relatively good pace. Now I'm gonna go into the manual mode for the full-blown acceleration. Oh gosh, yeah, you guys can kind of see the shifts aren't necessarily the smoothest, but we'll get our full-blown acceleration here now. Oh geez, kind of kicked me. That was interesting. Definitely gave me like a little bit of a kick from first to second gear. Didn't really like that too much. I mean, the acceleration is okay, and this actually gets me into talking about the topic of the video, which is, should they bring back the Dodge Dart? And I think that it could be a fun, cool idea if they gave this car the right stuff. If they did it right, then it could make a lot of sense. The problem with this iteration of the Dodge Dart is it didn't have enough power, right? They're going for a car that got good fuel economy, so that they would kind of get buyers that were like fuel economy conscious. And so they kind of went over for fuel economy instead of power. This car doesn't have enough power. It's a little bit too heavy, to be honest. Like, this car should probably be lighter weight compared to what it actually is. So if they did the Dart, a little bit more power, lighter weight, which that's just kind of like a sports car formula, right guys? and don't do front wheel drive. Either make it a rear wheel drive based platform or just have it all wheel drive for all of the packages, either or. And I think if they did that, then the Dart would have a much greater chance for success from a sales standpoint. But on top of that, I just think that that would actually do the car justice. Now, I understand that the old Dart was like this crazy muscle car and this is a little bit different, but still, I think that if they just basically did the Dart in a fashion where they kind of just made it into just like a cool, like sporty, lightweight car, I think that would do really well in the current market. And yeah, if you're in the market for a Dodge Dart, a used one, it's actually a really good value. They're really inexpensive. And Dodge, if you're watching this, you should, you know, maybe consider those ideas, maybe, if you're not too focused on trucks and SUVs. That is gonna sum things up for our video on the Dodge Dart GT. And again, it's a 2016, so nobody needs to comment what year this is, just saying. But anyways, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for providing us with this Dart. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.